Our protagonist comes from the modern world, where people only care about appearance. If you are lucky enough to be born with a beautiful face, congratulations, you have become the idol of everyone. But if you are unfortunate to have an ugly face, even if you are rich, it is hard to find a lover. Even the desire to have children and descendants becomes very difficult. And our protagonist is Tam Lang, who is certainly the most unlucky person in this era. He has a face so ugly that even the demons have to kneel down and admit defeat. But before, he was also a talented doctor, with a six-pack body and a handsome face that attracted thousands of people. But all those wonderful things were ruined by an acid accident, leaving him with a horrible appearance that scared every girl who saw him. The protagonist is so ugly that he offends the eyes of others. From the top position, Tam Lang was pushed straight to the bottom of society. Although life was so cruel to him, Tam Lang was determined to use his own talent to change the world's view. For 20 years, he became a skilled divine doctor, performing surgery to save lives in the most brutal wars. Although his talent and dedication were recognized by the whole world, in the eyes of the girls, Tam Lang was still just a wicked demon. One fine day, a huge bomb flew straight to where Tam Lang was working. Instead of panicking like others, Tam Lang was happy as if he had won the lottery. He smiled brightly, thanking heaven for freeing him from this life. Tam Lang prayed that if there was a next life, he hoped to become a handsome man and charm the most beautiful girl in the world. Just a moment later, Tam Lang stood upright, facing death. But life is not as expected. Tam Lang did not die. Instead, he suddenly traveled back to medieval times. He woke up after being unconscious and was surprised by the strange scenery and architecture around him. Tam Lang walked towards the mirror on the table, nervously standing in front of it and looking at himself. At first he was very surprised, but then he smiled contentedly. It turned out that his face had been restored. Not only that, but also much more handsome than before. Tam Lang laughed happily, thinking, "Heaven really did not treat me badly. The wish to regain my handsome face before has also been fulfilled. Then what about the wish for a leisurely life, just eating and playing? I guess it has also been arranged already, right?" As he was rejoicing, the memory of the previous owner of this body returned, causing him to hold his head in pain. This is the memory of the previous owner of this body? I have never heard of this place before. I am now in Huynh Vu City, Noi Giang District under the jurisdiction of Viet Country. This is the owner of this body, with a beautiful appearance and also named Tam Lang like me. This old Tam Lang only has a handsome face, but inside he is useless, not good at anything. Because he was born stupid, he studied for 10 years but still did not know 1,000 words. The teacher was so helpless that he had to kick him out of class. Not only that, he is also shameless. Just because 2 years ago, he accidentally met the daughter of the Tu family and fell in love with her. At that time, the daughter of the Tu family had a strange disease and had to marry someone as soon as possible. This Tam Lang ignored his family's and friends' objections and agreed to marry into her family as a son-in-law. Surprisingly, not long after the wedding, Tu Tien Tien recovered from her illness. Moreover, she became even more beautiful than before. It was also because of that Tam Lang became an insignificant existence in the Tu family's house. Even the maids in the mansion treated him like a mangy dog and abused and beat him at will. It was lucky for him that Tu Tien Tien was planning to become the virtuous lady of Nei Jiang County, so she ordered not to let the servants oppress Tam Lang anymore, and restored his life of eating well and dressing well. However, even though he married a beautiful and sweet wife, Tam Lang had never consummated his marriage with her. As a genuine stupid good boy, he was satisfied just by looking at Tu Tien Tien's beauty. Half a month ago, he suddenly fell ill with a strange disease that had no cure. Although Tu Tien Tien tried to find a great doctor to save him, they all failed. Tam Lang became weaker and weaker, until today he officially died. Therefore, the new protagonist had the opportunity to cross over and take over this body. After understanding the whole story, the young man had a very happy face. Although he was just a poor son-in-law, at least he was a son-in-law of a rich family. It seemed that his dream of living comfortably without working and still having food had become a reality. While he was enjoying his ecstasy, he heard some people outside whispering something. He approached the door to hear better, and heard someone ask, "I wonder if that Tam Lang guy is dead yet? He must have been dead for a long time. Otherwise, look at who he is to dare to marry into our two family." It turned out that two little mouths were gossiping about the old steward poisoning him, and they were planning to go in and see if Tam Lang was dead so they could clear his corpse. Then, the two girls slowly opened the door and walked in. But the bitter truth was that surprisingly, Tam Lang was still alive, grinning and standing upright there, making the two girls gape in fear. Their bodies trembled, unable to believe the reality in front of them. Then they screamed, "Tam Tam, you came back to life, oh my village." Then, the two crazies ran away like lightning. Tam Lang stood there dumbfounded, shocked to the extreme. Something was wrong. They said I was poisoned. Oh God, are you kidding me? Being a son-in-law of the two family is not as good as I thought. What should I do? Then suddenly, he felt something else in his head. The young man closed his eyes and entered his subconscious. In front of Tam Lang was a laptop. Wasn't this his beloved laptop? Wait a minute, it seemed that his eyes had also changed. Tam Lang's eyes suddenly lit up. He began to examine the objects around him. Not only could he see the size of the objects, but he could also see through them and see what was inside. It turned out that when he was blown up by a bomb, Tam Lang's body hugged the computer and X-ray machine. They crossed over together. How interesting. I wonder if I can combine these two things? Then he looked at the porcelain vase on the shelf. From its name, age, material and weight all appeared clearly, while he was excitedly testing the functions of his two treasures. Then someone pushed the door and came in and said, "Oh, Tam Lang, I heard that you have woken up. I am so happy." Tam Lang pondered, "The owner has arrived. Indeed, she is a natural beauty." Tam Lang immediately checked out her chest, a full 36D size. Moreover, his eyes could accurately display the information, Tam Lang's wife. "Let me introduce this beautiful girl named Tu Thien Thien." As soon as she arrived, she quickly said, "I've been worried sick about you these past few days." Then she glanced at Li Daifu and said, "Could you please check him out for me?" Li Daifu sat down and took Tam Lang's pulse. But he seemed very surprised and turned to say, "Tam Gongzi's health is very good now, very strong." Tu Tien Tien's face was very bitter when she heard that. How could that be? He was clearly dying yesterday. But she quickly regained her composure, and began to pretend to cry and say, "This is such good news," I thought. Tam Lang was shocked to see that, and thought, "This girl changes her face so fast. But do you think I am the old stupid Tam Lang?" Then, Tu Tien Tien called Li Daifu outside and said, "My husband and I have something to discuss." As soon as the doctor left, she smiled smugly and said, "Tam Lang brother, you are really cured. I am so happy. It is true that heaven has eyes." Tam Lang was amazed and thought, "This Tu Tien Tien is not like in the memory at all. She is clearly a green tea girl. Could it be that she was the one who poisoned me and now wants to kill me?" Suddenly, Tu Tien Tien sighed. "These days, your parents have been very worried and missed you. They have come to our house many times to take you home. They even knelt in front of me to beg me. It is true that parents always love their children very much." Tam Lang was confused and thought, "Is she trying to kick me out of the house? But I am just a fool, how can I understand these hints?" But the young man pretended to be innocent, making Tu Tien Tien furious and think, "This bastard Tam Lang is really a fool, he doesn't understand human language. What should I do?" Suddenly, a guy kicked the door and walked in arrogantly. He introduced himself as Zhuang Tan, the son of Tai Thursday Trong Sung, 24 years old. As soon as he entered, he said loudly, "This is a brainless idiot, sister. Why do you talk in circles like that? How can he understand? It turns out that you two are having an affair, and even openly." Then he pointed and said, "You bastard, Tu Tien Tien is now my fiancé. If you have any sense, get out of here. You have enjoyed the status and leeching for too long. Look at your stupid appearance, how can you match the talented lady of any Jiang County?" Tam Lang was heartbroken and thought, have I been cheated on and forced to break up? Before, Tu Tien Tien had to marry this stupid Tam Lang because of a strange disease. Now that she is cured, she immediately kicks him out. For months, she pretended to be a gentle and virtuous person, but it was just a show for the world. Suddenly, Tu Tien Tien gently sat down and said to Tam Lang, "You are very good, but I am sorry we are not meant for each other." Tam Lang was angry and thought, this crazy girl is still acting. But looking at this situation, I can't stay here anymore. The old Tam Lang was also just poisoned to death. Anyway, he was just a normal merchant family, not my goal of leeching for life. Besides, I have a beautiful face and a cheat book in my hand. Why should I be afraid of not finding a better rich wife? The young man replied, "Can I go home now?" Truong Tan was very surprised to hear that. He always begged to live or die to stay, but now he was so easygoing. But he said fiercely, "I'll give you half an hour to get out of here, or don't blame me for being cruel." Then they left. When everyone was gone, only this whore was left. He showed his perverted face to the fullest and laughed wickedly. Then he got up and ran to the mirror. "Tu Tien Tien, oh Tu Tien Tien, how dare you say I'm useless? You think your Tu family is so great, but with my handsome face, only noble ladies are worthy of being my leeching targets." He was in ecstasy. Tam Lang heard everything. Outside the door, there was Truong Tan's voice, "We have to hurry up. The Truck family is coming to the Earl of Huenvu's mansion to propose a marriage alliance. Their status is too noble. If they get married first, our wedding will not be glorious anymore." Tu Tien Tien replied, "Is it Kim Mok Lan of the Earl of Huenvu's mansion?" Truong Tan, "Yes, have you met her? Is she really as beautiful and skilled as the rumors say?" Tu Tien Tien replied, "This lady is very arrogant. She never shows up at the gatherings with us." Truong Tan, "Anyway, they are a noble family for hundreds of years. Of course they have to be proud. As for the Truck family's proposal, it is still a secret. Don't tell anyone. There it is, my leeching target. Within 100 miles, Kim Mok Lan is the most powerful single girl. As for the Tu family, just wait for me. I will definitely take revenge." A while later, Tam Lang was kicked out of the door like a puppy, making him fall face down on the ground in pain. The servant shouted, "You bastard Tam Lang, how dare you? You are just a poor son-in-law who leeches off the Tu family. But you are ungrateful and steal money from the mansion to play with girls. You also tease and molest the maids at home. If it were another family, you would have been beaten to death long ago. But I am a kind person and spared your life. From now on, end the marriage relationship between you and Miss Tien Tien. Get out of the Tu family's house and never come back. Look at this whore's face lying there like a dead fish." Tam Lang was angry, "How dare you frame me? You did this so that your miss can marry someone else openly? But never mind, I still have my handsome face and my cheat book. Why should I be afraid of not finding a better rich wife? But it's cold, I have to go back to the old house in my memory." On the upper floor, there was a man in purple watching Tam Lang from afar. He was the master of the Tu family, his name was Tu Quang Don. He asked, "Have you arranged everything?" The subordinate replied, "Master, don't worry, everything is done." Tu Quang Don, did we act too rashly today? I'm afraid it will affect my daughter's reputation. There was no other way. Only by doing this could Truong Tan be satisfied. He is the best son-in-law we can ask for. Tu Tien Tien was silent and did not say anything. But she bowed her head and said, "Yes, father, I understand." The scene changed to late night. At this time, Tam Lang was wandering home. He would be home soon if he walked a little further. But wait, something was wrong. Someone had been waiting for Tam Lang for a long time. A few assassins looked like robots and said, "Tam Gongzi, please come with us for a trip." Two other men with guns approached. Tam Lang thought they knew they wouldn't spare him. But Tam Lang couldn't say anything, he was still the best Tam Lang. A while later, the young man was tied up, and they took the protagonist deep into the dense forest. After a while, they arrived. They took off the blindfold from Tam Lang's eyes. Suddenly there was a voice saying, "The hole is dug, let's do it." It scared the young man to death. It turned out that they had dug a hole in advance, intending to bury the protagonist alive. How cruel. A man with a scarred face came forward and said, "Please enter the hole, sir. This is a very sad thing, so we have to light some incense and candles to avoid you leaving in misery." Tam Lang thought, "I'm the one being buried alive here, brother. Whether you light incense or candles, I will die very miserably." Wait a minute, I know this guy from the old owner's memory of this body. He is Din Hon, the famous gang leader in the 100 miles around here. He is cruel and ruthless, and has killed countless people. Tam Lang used his X-ray eyes to detect something strange inside Din Hon's body. Din Hon said sincerely, "I'm sorry, Tam Gongzi, I'm just collecting debts." But his face was very surprised. Tam Lang was still staring at him. Din Hon came forward and unlocked Tam Lang's mouth and asked, "Hey, what are you looking at? You have a needle in your body. If you don't get it out right away, it will be very dangerous to your life. Now the needle has pierced your lung artery, moving along the blood flow. Once it reaches your brain, you will surely die." The subordinates looked confused and didn't understand what this crazy guy was saying. Din Hon was shocked and thought, how did this bastard know this? Even my wife doesn't know about this. But he said, "Everyone says you are a fool, but you don't look like it at all." Tam Lang replied, "I can help you get that thing out." Din Hon asked, "The condition is that you will spare my life, right? Don't you want to know who sent me to kill you?" Tam Lang replied, "I don't need to ask, I already know who it is." Din Hon just stood there smiling, "But sorry, I can't spare you." Tam Lang was scared and thought, doesn't he want to live anymore? Did he voluntarily let someone put that needle in him? At this moment of life and death, what use is my handsome face and cheap book? Well, let me tell you then. 3 months ago, your brother came to my shop to borrow 5 gold coins to invite a great doctor to save your father. Now the interest has grown to 100 gold coins. Because your family couldn't pay back the money, we buried you alive. It has nothing to do with anyone else, understand? Suddenly Tam Lang remembered what happened 3 months ago. He had just married into the Tu family, when his father ran over and said that the Tu family had caused trouble and wanted to take Tam Lang home. As a result, he was kicked out by the Tu family. His father must have been seriously injured by the Tu family. Since then, the old owner of this body was hopeless. He liked women like Tu Tien Tien, but he didn't care about his parents at all. It seemed that if he wanted to live, he had to think of another way quickly. Din Hon continued, "Of course, to make it clear once and for all, we will go to your house and deal with your brother and parents too." Tam Lang began to remember the happy family scene from before. They always gave the best things to the owner of this body. He showed no mercy, not even to his younger brother and parents. However, Dien Hon said, "We have no grudges against each other, so I will give you the most comfortable death. Kill first, then bury." The henchman, with a hot hand, said, "Sorry, my good brother," and swung his sword down. Just as it touched the neck, Tam Lang screamed 10 times louder. 1,000 gold coins. The henchman looked up upon hearing this, waiting for the boss's order without hesitation. Tam Lang shouted again, I will pay you 1,000 gold coins in 10 days. Everyone held their breath waiting for Dain Hona's answer. Tam Lang was scared and didn't dare to open his eyes, his face buried in the ground. Suddenly Dain Hon said, 3 days, then he glanced at Tam Lang and continued, I can only give you 3 days. Tam Lang thought 3 days was too short. It seemed that he had made a deal with the two family to kill him within 3 days to get 100 gold coins. Tam Lang firmly said, okay, it's settled. Dain Hon laughed and said, let him go and give him a debt note as proof. The henchman replied, boss, we didn't bring those things when we left. Tam Lang spoke up, no need for those things. Then he tore a piece of his shirt, bit his thumb until it bled, and wrote on the cloth with his bloody finger that he owed Dain Hon 1,000 gold coins. He signed it as handsome Tam Lang. Dain Hon stood aside with a thoughtful look on his face. He thought quickly and decisively. Is this Tam Lang who is rumored to have very low intelligence? It's ridiculous. Tam Lang handed the debt note to the henchman and muttered to himself that this pretense was a bit painful. Dain Hon said with a murderous look on his face, remember, you have to pay 1,000 gold coins within 3 days or I will kill your whole family. He turned to his henchmen and ordered 2 of them to escort young master Tam Lang home and keep a close eye on him for 3 days. Tam Lang was released back home. 2 men were assigned to follow him closely for 3 days. A while later when he was walking home, he suddenly stopped and remembered what Dain Hon said, you have to pay 1,000 gold coins in 3 days or we will kill your whole family. He wondered if there was any way to make 1,000 gold coins in 3 days. Then he suddenly smiled. Ah, I have it. Just use this method. Not only can I make money but also protect my family. And I can also take revenge on the 2 family with 1 arrow hitting 3 targets. From behind him 2 men said, Tam Gongzi, we have to go now. Why are you standing there for so long? Do you want us to carry you home? Tam Lang walked on with them and thought, let's go. Let's go. I haven't seen my family for 3 months, they must be very worried. My father was also injured, I don't know how he is. I have to go home and see him as soon as possible. Introducing Tam Lang's house, the folk custom in this world is to worship martial arts. Even a small village where the Tam family lives has a stone fortress. There are only about 20 soldiers in the city, protecting the safety of the village. Most of the villagers live by the river, only the Tam family lives far from the village, isolated on the mountainside. It's because the Tam family is an outsider, who moved here more than 10 years ago, so they never integrated with the original villagers. After a while, he arrived at Tam Lang's house. It was a small dilapidated house with a light still on inside. Inside the house, the father was sick and coughing, the mother sat quietly beside the bed and waited for Tam Lang. Tam Lang's father said, we have to go to the 2 family and bring De Lang home. Bring him home. Tam Lang's mother ran over in panic and said, husband, don't get out of bed. You keep coughing up blood. Tam Lang's father continued, tomorrow I will go to the 2 family and demand Tam Lang back. If they refuse, I will smash my head and die at their door. As he spoke, he coughed and blood came out of his mouth. Tam Lang's mother trembled and cried. Our eldest brother has never suffered since he was a child. Now, he has gone to the 2 families' house. We don't know what kind of bullying he has endured. From behind, our younger brother Tam Lang, named Tam Kien, whose leg is in a cast, sits up and shouts loudly, parents, rest assured. Now, I will make 2 crutches. Tomorrow, I will go to the 2 families' house to pick up my elder brother. If necessary, I will risk my life. Everyone inside agrees, yes, tomorrow we will risk our lives with the 2 family. Outside, Tam Lang hears everything and his face is very sad. Truly, this family has too much affection for their old master. Then Tam Lang steps forward to open the door. As soon as he steps through the open door, he quickly kneels down and bows his head in greeting. Parents, your unfilial son has returned. The three people are shocked at this sight. Tam Lang's father trembles as he stands up and shouts. Tam Kian is startled and exclaims, "Is that my elder brother?" Tam Lang's parents have tear-streaked faces. Our eldest son is indeed our eldest son. He has returned. She runs over to Tam Lang and bursts into tears. I'm not dreaming, am I? I thought I would never see you again, Tam Lang sadly replies. It's me, I've returned. Then he kneels down again and says to his parents, I know I was wrong. I won't go back to the two families' house anymore. Tam Lang's parents look surprised. Tam Lang's mother runs over and hugs him saying, our son has really grown up. Tam Lang thinks with a sad face, so just by saying one sentence about not going to the two families' house anymore, they think I've grown up. They really love Tam Lang too much. It's because this Tam Lang was nothing before. He turns to his father and bows his head saying, Father, your unfilial son will not make you worry anymore in the future. Tam Lang's father looks at him in surprise and replies, Eldest son, you seem different. You didn't talk like this before. It seems you have become more clever. Tam Lang thinks awkwardly, oh no, I got too excited and forgot that the old Tam Lang was just a fool. I need to think of an explanation. Fortunately, Tam Lang's mother speaks up, that's right, our eldest son has become more clever. Looking at these eyes makes people feel good. The protagonist sighs thinking, unexpectedly they have accepted it like this already. Perhaps they only have love for me and no suspicion at all. Just when the family atmosphere was getting warm, that guy Tam Kian speaks up, are you interrupting? Did the two family kick you out? Tam Lang clenches his fist and nods. Tam Lang's mother comes over to comfort him saying, it's good that they kicked you out. I couldn't bear to let my son stay in that house full of evil people. Although our house is poor, if your father, your younger brother and I try harder we can still take care of you. We won't let our eldest son suffer. Tam Lang smiles thinking, Mother is worried about me being used to poverty and suffering days? Even if a whole family supports one person they never say that they will let me work. Then Tam Lang's mother suddenly remembers some short-haired woman and laughs happily. Also, before when you were married into the two family did you want to get married? Wait for your father and younger brother to recover their health then we should earn money to find a wife for you. What do you think about Widow Lu in the village? Although she is 3 years older than you she looks pretty good and her character is also quite good. Tam Lang immediately thinks, even a wife these people have arranged for me? It's really not because of the lack of a wife that I went into the two family as a son-in-law, he says to his parents who are thinking about these things. Parents don't think about these things, let me see your illness. Tam Lang approaches his father and places his hand on his forehead to check for fever. Then he notices symptoms of inflammation in the body. Tam Lang's father is surprised, Lang, do you also know about these things? The protagonist uses his X-ray vision to examine more closely, looking into his father's body full of injuries. He thinks that indeed it is internal injuries, both the lungs and stomach are injured, the lung part is bleeding, the ribs also have cracks, but after 3 months the rib part has grown back and connected with each other, but it is not even. The two family was too cruel. Fortunately, his younger brother had borrowed 5 golden dragons to find a great doctor, otherwise, his father would surely not have survived. Until the day he met himself, Tam Lang closed his eyes and thought about the treatment. If he wants to treat it, the first step is to lead the blood out of the lungs, remove the abscess. Step 2 uses anti-inflammatory herbs with antibacterial properties, then uses tonic medicine to restore vitality. A few months later will be able to recover. Calculating like that will surely cure his father's disease. Luckily Tam Lang himself has excellent medical skills. Tomorrow he must go to pick herbs. After thinking about it, Tam Lang turns to his younger brother and says, Tam Kian, let me see how your leg is. Tam Kien replies, okay, big brother. Tam Lang uses his X-ray vision to see clearly that the injured area has signs of inflammation. If it continues like this, it will be a big problem, but luckily the broken bone is still straight and does not injure any important blood vessels. Tam Kien laughs and says, I don't need my brother to worry. Our house doesn't have enough dowry anyway. Don't worry about waiting for my leg to heal in a few days or half a month. If I become disabled, then I will become Wenvu and play tricks. When I see a carriage coming, I will rush to the wheel and trick money. Tam Lang holds his face in total admiration. He thought that only two old people were spoiling their children. He didn't expect this younger brother to also spoil his older brother very much. He can't let them continue like this. Tam Lang pokes at his leg, causing Tam Kien to cry out in pain, then says, still they're playing tricks with your leg injury? If you don't treat it quickly, you will surely die. Then he asks, when did your leg get injured? Tam Kien laughs happily and says, 2 days ago I wanted to go to the two families' house to eavesdrop on news about my brother. The result is that I couldn't even enter the door and was attacked on my way home. But under my brave counterattack I only broke my leg. Tam Lang thinks, unexpectedly this two family is so cruel, they are really nothing good. But he laughs and says, it's okay, this one I got it. Outside, two men are still standing guard outside, their faces gloomy as they look into Tam Lang's house. The scene shifts to early next morning. Tam Lang goes up the mountain to pick herbs. It takes all day to pick enough herbs. One man still follows closely behind him. After returning to their dilapidated house, Tam Lang begins using boiling water to sterilize tools like cotton towels, scalpels, etc. He tries hard to light more candles and reluctantly creates a simple operating room. Relying on his skillful medical skills, he successfully reconnects Tam Kien's broken bone. He also uses a biopsy method to drain the blood accumulated in his father's lungs. A while later, Tam Lang's father sits up suddenly exclaiming, I'm not coughing up blood anymore. His mother and younger brother are amazed. Eldest son, that's amazing, it's only been a while. Not only has our father's complexion improved a lot, but even breathing is very comfortable. Even our father's lung disease can be cured. How did you do it? Tam Lang's father speaks up, son, don't ask anymore. Before, your elder brother was not stupid. He just pretended to be foolish. Now that our eldest son is like this, we are still too happy to celebrate. There's no need to ask clearly. Tam Kien scratches his head and replies, yes, that's right. Then Tam Lang's parents turn to each other and laugh. Our son has grown up so much now, we don't need to marry a widow anymore. Tam Lang's father replies, that's right, someone like our son should broaden his horizons. Tam Lang's mother is delighted. In the future, when we open a medical clinic and earn enough money, we will marry the village chief's daughter. In her mind appears the image of the village chief's daughter, with bright makeup, a plowing face and sorrowful eyes. Tam Lang is speechless. Mother, can you look further and wider? Then he laughs and says, Mother, stop talking, I'm a little dizzy, I'm going out to breathe some air. The three people watching Tam Lang say, be careful. Tam Lang slowly opens the door and steps outside. It is already late at night. He walks towards the two men standing there. 13 faces grimly say, your family is really blissful, but you only have 2 days left. Don't forget, if you can't produce 1,000 gold coins, then your whole family will die tragically. Tam Lang enters the house, his head still remembering what that man said. Don't forget, if you can't produce 1,000 gold coins, then your whole family will die tragically. He thinks to himself that being told like that loses all mood. Then he opens the door and enters the house. As soon as he opens the door, Tam Lang smiles broadly and says, I'm back. The voice of Tam Lang's mother echoes, eldest son, come here. He is surprised when his mother carries a basin of water over to him and says, elder son, it's time to wash your feet. Tam Lang thinks, mother wants to wash my feet? No, that would be too unfilial. Tam Lang quickly steps forward to hold the basin of water and replies, "Mother, let me do it myself." Tam Lang's mother looks at him in surprise, her eyes welling up with tears. "Eldest son, why?" "My hands are very clean, not like before. You used to like it when I washed your feet." Tam Lang is flustered, remembering that before this stupid Tam Lang was always washed by his mother. If he lets his mother think that he is living a luxurious life in the two families' house and despises her, then she will be very sad. Well, then Tam Lang happily sits down to let his mother wash his feet. While washing, Tam Lang's mother laughs and says, "Eldest son, is the water hot?" Tam Lang smiles and replies, "Not hot, not hot." Then he sits there in a daze looking at his mother, thinking, "I didn't expect that in this world I could meet a family who loves me so much." Tam Lang looks at his three relatives in the room and silently vows, "From now on everyone will be my real parents, my real younger brother. The useless Tam Lang, before you owe your parents and younger brother, I will pay it back using this life of mine." But the urgent matter at hand is still to get through the danger. The scene shifts to the next day when Tam Lang's family is eating porridge. There is a loud knock on the door from outside. The protagonist goes out to open it, and it is two sullen men. The two men look at him grimly. A man spoke up, "Time is of the essence, let's go make some money, buddy. We have guests at home." Tam Lang's mother peeked out and asked, "Dai Lang, what's going on, son?" Tam Lang quickly replied, "Nothing, Mom. These are two of my friends." His mother seemed delighted and said, "Friends of Dai Lang? Come in and have some porridge." The other man's face changed as quickly as an ex-lover turned their back. He politely declined with a smile, "We've already eaten, thank you very much." Tam Lang was shocked and thought to himself, "This unlucky number 13 knows how to act too well." Tam Lang replied to his mother, "Mom, I have to go to the city with my friends. I heard there's a new amazing teacher at school." Tam Lang's parents came out and asked, "Will you be home for lunch? Will you be hungry?" Tam Lang replied, "I won't be able to make it home for lunch. I'll try to come home for dinner." Number 13 said, "Don't worry, we live in town. We won't let Tam Lang go hungry." Tam Lang's mother called out, "Sorry for the trouble. Next time you come over, I'll boil some eggs for you." Number 13 replied, "Yes, yes." Then his mother put something in Tam Lang's hand. It turned out to be an egg. She told him to take it with him and eat it if he gets hungry. Tam Lang smiled and thought to himself that he had already eaten one egg today. That makes two in total. But the other two people at home are patients. If his mother shows favoritism like this, there will be trouble. Then he said to his mother, "Don't worry, Mom. Your son will be fine." Tam Lang and the other two guys started their journey. The protagonist muttered as they walked along, "We're only short of 1,000 gold coins." From behind them, at the door of the house, Tam Lang's mother stood there watching the three figures disappear into the distance. For hours later, on their way to Huinvo City, they ran into two people coming from the opposite direction discussing something. Anyway, one of them said, "This time you even lost our land deeds. Turns out you're a pair of gambling addicts." The son replied, "Dad, it's because they cheated. Otherwise we would have definitely won that round." The father scolded him in a low voice, saying they shouldn't go anymore. Which casino doesn't cheat? It was because he insisted on going all in. Hearing this, Tam Lang thought to himself that he thought they were arguing about something serious, but turns out they're just two gambling addicts. Suddenly number 13 greeted the two men with a big smile. "Uncle Lai. It's been a long time since we last met." Tam Lang turned around and thought to himself, "Does number 13 know them?" The two gamblers looked surprised and said, "Is that you, number 13? Long time no see." Number 13 continued cheerfully, "Why don't you come over to our house? My dad misses you a lot. He even mentioned yesterday why you didn't come over for tea." Although you owe us some money, don't let that make us strangers. Aren't you and my dad sworn brothers? The gambling father hesitated and replied, I'll come tomorrow. Tomorrow. Number 13 approached them with a dangerous look on his face. My dad said that you don't need to pay back the money you owe us. The gambler's father was embarrassed. That would be too much, too much. Number 13 led the two gamblers towards a distant bush while saying, You've been friends with my parents for over 10 years now. What's a little money between brothers? When I was little I used to eat at your house all the time. So, shall we slaughter a pig and visit our fathers tomorrow? Number 13 suggested. Yes, Number 14 replied, and then. In the bushes, there were continuous sounds of chopping. From behind the trees, Number 13 came out alone, wiping the blade in his hand. His face was still covered in blood. While wiping the blood off the blade with a cloth, he said, Number 14, tell our brothers to deal with those two bodies. Yes, sir, Number 14 replied. Tam Lang, with a look of utter bewilderment on his face, thought to himself, he just killed them like that. This guy is too cruel. Number 13 turned to Tam Lang and said, Sorry for the delay. I saw two acquaintances. Tam Lang replied, Let's continue on our way to the city. As they walked, Tam Lang turned to Number 13 and asked, Number 13, was that middle-aged man your uncle? Number 13 proudly replied, Yes. He and my father have been through thick and thin together for over 10 years. When I was little, I often stayed at his house. Tam Lang continued to ask, How much does he owe you? Number 13 replied, 3 gold coins. Because he's an acquaintance, we charged him a low interest rate. But after compound interest, it became 25 gold coins. Then he couldn't pay it back. Yesterday, he and his son went gambling and lost all their money and even owed more. Tam Lang thought to himself, just for 25 gold coins you killed a father and son who had been close to your family for over 10 years. Then Number 13 pulled out his knife and said to Tam Lang, I know you're stalling for time. It's impossible to get 1,000 gold coins in 2 days. He raised his knife and continued, or I could let you go peacefully now so as not to waste my 2 days. Tam Lang confidently replied, Maybe 1,000 gold coins is a 10-year savings for a family of hundreds or more or for a poor man. Normally speaking, it's impossible to make such a large sum of money in 2 days. But I'm not an ordinary person. I don't need 2 days, today will do. Number 13 looked skeptical and asked, Really? Then Tam Lang shouted like a madman, Within 3 hours, I will have 1,000 gold coins. The scene shifts to Huinvu City, one of the 8 cities in Noijiang district with 2 male guards and a population of over 250,000 people. There are already 30,000 people within the city. The walls of Huinvu City are 12 high with a circumference of 10 miles. Within sight are hundreds of soldiers. After entering the city with Number 13, the first thing Tam Lang did was head towards the busiest commercial district and stopped in front of a building called Cam Tu Kak. Next up, not only do I want to make a fortune here but also take revenge on their family from the start of the performance. Introducing Kim Tu Kat, which is similar to their family also deals in silk and fabrics but on a smaller scale than theirs. However, their family is also a famous wealthy family in Huinvu City. The most important thing is that their family is a competitor of their family. As soon as they saw Tam Lang and Number 13 enter, the servant quickly ran out to ask the two guests, What do you need? Tam Lang replied, Tell your master that I want to make a big deal with the Lam family, which could earn him at least 5,000 gold coins. The servant laughed skeptically and said, 5,000 gold coins? Are you joking? Suddenly, Number 13 stepped forward, frowned and said, I am Number 13 from the Black Gang. I invite Mr. Lam to discuss business. After hearing this, the servant trembled and replied, Please follow me. I will go find the master right away. Please wait a moment. Tam Lang and number 13 were sitting and drinking tea in the room. A while later, there were footsteps approaching. In front of them was a bearded man with a face full of addiction. He spoke up, "You two have a big deal to discuss with me?" Introducing this purple-clad addict is Lam Mak, the owner of Cam Tu Kak and the head of the wealthy Lam family in Huenvu City. Tam Lang sat down on the chair and got straight to the point, saying, "Yes, it's a big deal that will earn Mr. Lam at least 5,000 gold coins a year." Lam Mak slammed his hand on the table and replied, "Number 13, I have a dye formula I want to sell to Mr. Lam for 2,000 gold coins." Lam Mak glanced at Tam Lang with contempt, then stood up and said, "Lam Mos, time is precious. I don't have time to waste with you two. Servant, see the guests out." This made number 13 standing next to him look at Tam Lang in disbelief. Is this the business deal that Tam Lang wants to sell? 1,000 taels is already outrageous enough, but he dares to ask for 2,000 taels. I must be crazy to bring you to Cam Tu Kak. Do you want to die?